Welcome to my channel. I'm also going to say good morning wherever you are. It might not be morning, but today I wanted to pop on here and show you. I'm going to work on making a vintage file folder that I'm going to put in with my next journal that I'm just about finished with. I'm going to show you real quick. I'm not going to do a walkthrough of the journal, but I'm embellishing it right now, and when I send it off to its new owner, I want to add a vintage file folder, and I want to add some envelopes, some vintage envelopes that I've worked on. But today I just wanted to work on this vintage file folder, which I've never done before. Let me set my journal aside here real quick. Because I'm going to be mailing these off, I had to size the file folder down because just the regular size file folder wouldn't have fit in the mailing pack. So I cut a file folder down to make it smaller, and then I used the tab on the top and I outlined it to make a new tab here. And as I said, I've never done a vintage file folder before. So I've seen that Lori Girl on the Ridge does it, and I always enjoyed them, so I thought I'd give it a try. I coffee stained it, and then I was painting on some stuff, and I had some paint, so I just went ahead and cleaned the brush off on the edges all around here. And then, unsure what I was going to do next. I don't love Mod Podge, but I do like gluing things down. I like the feel of it. So I glued some music paper in some places. And I had recently come across, in my garage sailing and estate sailing things, I'd recently come across this silk vintage scarf. And I tried it on I tried it on a tag. I cut out one of the roses. It's very light and see-through. I cut out one of the roses and I glued it down to a tag, and it worked real good, so I went ahead and I cut out some pieces and I glued them down in some places. And now I want to stencil, and I also want to make some texture paste and put that on the front of this. So first, Mrs. Coggs had a video where she was using these makeup brushes, and I went to the dollar store, couldn't find them there, and then I went to Walmart and I found a small package. It had 3 of them in there, and so I've been using them. It works really great for stenciling. And also I got a gift card for Christmas to Hobby Lobby, and I decided to try some Distress Oxide. And I got the vintage photo, and I love it. I love it. I even went back and got a couple more. I just love this color. It's not as sharp as the unoxide vintage photo and stuff, and I've just been using it everywhere. But for this, I want a little sharper image, so I'm going to use my stencil, and I'm going to use just a regular Distress ink vintage photo. I'm going to try that first. I also have some black here, but first let's try this. And I just want to put a couple of these around in some places, overlapping some things. It's kind of a arabesque design. So we're going to try that and see how much it shows up. Because these will just, once we cover up a lot of this stuff. When you collage like this, just parts of it peek out, but you're never sure which parts are going to be the ones that are going to end up peeking out. So, but these makeup brushes are great for this. I tried them on the edges, and it might take a different technique. I'm still using my what do you call these, makeup foam things. I cut them in little pieces and use that for to distress the edges of things. You get them at the dollar store, you get like 25 of them in a pack, and then I even cut these in half. Shows you how cheap I am. But for this, putting stencils down, this stuff is like, I think she called it game changing, because it does. It works really great. A lot of times when you're using the other things, it leaves one dab really dark, and then the rest, the edges are lighter, so this doesn't do that. So first let's look at this and see what we got here. Alright. So there we got a one in the middle. I like that enough. I don't think I'll do a black one. I think that's good. So I'm going to do another one. Let's see. I think I'll actually use this part of the stencil here, and I'm going to set it up here. And I thought about using my embossing folders on it, but then I decided that I think that this is going to be enough. So when I put the texture paste on it, and then you could, after you're done, put some Mod Podge all over it. Even the matte finish, I think, gets a little glossy. So using the grungy vintage feel, I think it kind of loses it. But alright, so we got one there. And I'm liking this so much, I was just going to put a couple, but let's put some over here. Let's see, let's go like this. In this area. And then my next technique is one that came from, is it Adele's Cottage? It might be just Adele's Cottage. She did a series over Christmas where they were using just things from the dollar store, and she had this really great idea where you get chalk and you scrape it into paint, and so it gives it body like texture paste, and then you use your stencils and stencil it on instead of using modeling paste, plus it's colored. So we're going to do that next on some spots on here. I'll show you when we get to that point. So, alright. And I could maybe put a few on after I do my next step. We'll just have to see. And then I thought it needs a focal point in the end. I'm thinking of, I just collaged this together yesterday, and I was going to like make a pocket or put it on a glassine bag or something. But I'm thinking about somewhere on here in the end, this might go, and I could even make a pocket out of it. I'm not sure if I'll use that or not. That's still up in the air. We shall see. So now, okay, we're going to close this up here and set it off to the side. I hope you all guys are having a good day. Hope the weather isn't driving you too nuts where you're at. But you know, sometimes on these snow days, it's like, yay, it snowed, I can craft all day. I love it. So, I went to the dollar store and got these chalks. We've all seen them. They're what kids use on sidewalks and stuff like that. I wish they had some white ones too, and I might try this spring to see if I can get some white ones. But these have pink, green, blue, yellow, and a kind of an orange. So you take the chalk, the big hunk of chalk, and you take some white paint, and it can be any kind. I'm just happened to use this one. This one I got at a estate sale for $1, and you can use the American acrylics paint, any paint, just as long as it's white. You can even use another color, just depends on what color you're putting in it. So you put a little bit of it in a bowl, and then you take your chalk and you start scraping it into the bowl, because this is going to add your texture. This is like putting baby powder in your paint when you want to try to make gesso, or you want to try to make gesso that has more grit or tooth to it. And this is also going to color it at the same time. So, and you want, if for the texture to stand up off of your page, you want to have quite a bit, because it's not going to be as thick as like if you were using modeling paste or texture paste that they make. But so let's see what this does here. See how thick it makes it. And then you start mixing it up and getting it It takes it a little while before it starts coloring the paint too much. Probably be better if I had a flatter thing to mix in. I think we're going to need some more. Yes, let's definitely get some more. And you can do this with the white paint and white chalk, and then you wouldn't have the color in it. But this isn't coloring it too much. Oh, I think that's going to get it good. And if you get too much and you make it too textury, you can always add some more paint to it. It's not an exact science. I'll link that video where Adele's cottage did hers, and you guys can see it, so we can, because she's the one that thought this up. It was very clever. Okay, I think that's got a little bit of a tooth to it. It's got a little bit of where it's going to stand up a little bit, plus it's going to be a different color on the page. So now my big thing is, do I want to use this one? I think I'll use this one to put it on the stencil. Now this time I'm going to use a Tim Holtz stencil, and I'm going to just make these dots in different places. So let's try in here first and see what we get. You don't want to press down too hard because it'll go underneath the stencil. So you just kind of and once I'm done doing this, guys, I'll have to, I don't know how to pause my video and then continue on. I'm not sure if my stuff does that. So I'll just, you'll just have to come back when I do the review on the journal, and I'll show it then what ended up happening. Okay, let's lift it up. Ooh, pretty lip dots. I don't know if you can see. They stand up a little bit. Yep, they got a little bit of texture where they kind of stand up. So let's see, where else do we want to put some of these dots? Let's try a few right over here. And then another thing is once you start putting too many of these on, you gotta let them dry. You can't stick them in other places because you're gonna go over. The stencil's gonna go over where it was. So gotta be careful not to put the stencil on top of that. Just gonna put a couple over here. I like the randomness of that. Alright, and when they dry, they'll probably even dry lighter. So, and you can, you know, like if it was too pink for you, you could ink over them a little bit and make them, see I moved the stencil on that one and it's blurred together, but that's going to be fine. Like I said, you never know in collages what's going to end up being covered up and what's going to end up showing through. So, I'm not sure that I like that lady or not on there. Yeah, I do. I really do like her. And the colors are coming out great. So, alright, well, I just wanted to show you me trying to make a vintage file folder. And I hope you guys are having a great crafting day. And I will see you again soon. Thank you for watching.